Hey everybody, it's Ben from Tourette's Podcast, part of the Geeks Rising Network, and we're continuing this series of documenting our favorite things for the month. This is going to be my favorite things of 2020. My last video was back in September, and since then, Bandrew and Heather and other members of Geeks Rising have put out their favorite things of 2020, and it's just a chance to talk about something positive instead of the misery that is 2020. And I was trying to think of what tied these things together, like why they were my favorite things of 2020. Is there a common denominator? And I think these are all things that just kind of helped me escape reality for a little bit and just kind of get to a place where I didn't have to think about the goings on of every day, the news, and go to a different place or look at reality in a different way. I will say right up top, I'm not going to talk about my cats. They're clearly my favorite thing of 2020, as my last video made clear. We got that out of the way. So let's pick a thing. This is the Olympus Pen F, and I'm a photographer. It's a big part of my day job. I do a lot of freelance photography for clients, and whatever free time I have left, I pipe that into photography too. Again, it's just a nice way to break away from reality and kind of literally reframe what I see in front of me. I go on long walks. I talked about this in my last video. I go on long walks, I bring my camera with me, and whatever looks interesting, I will photograph it and put it up to my eye and just kind of basically take out the world, and whatever I see in the frame is all I'm going to concentrate on. And it's a very nice mental health exercise. Photography is a big mental health thing for me. But I'm not the kind of photographer who likes to talk about gear. I used to, but I really got away from that because I got really sick of the gear talk in the photography industry and how boastful people can be about their gear. Almost like I have an expensive camera, therefore I'm a more professional photographer than you are. It's really lame how photographers try to Bigfoot on one another based on their gear, or put somebody else down based on the gear they use. I've invested in really nice gear. I'm not gonna flaunt it. I don't hashtag my gear on Instagram. I'd rather people see my photography and take it for what the photo was worth and not worry about what gear I use to make that photo. So typically I shoot Olympus and Leica cameras, and I sold one of my Leicas just recently. And if you don't know, Leica is a pretty expensive kind of camera. For a fraction of the money I got for that Leica, I bought this Olympus Pen F. I've always wanted one for years. This is an attractive camera. This is a really good looking camera. I mean, it's designed to kind of resemble the film camera days. It is indeed based on the Olympus Pen F film camera. And it's beautiful. And listen to this shutter sound. I like how the on-off switch looks like a film rewind, which also has a very nice feel. It's very stout. And I know it's not all about the looks of the camera, but it is about the experience of using it. I've had a really great time using this camera. A, for how it feels, yeah, for how it looks, but it's really helped me in my quest to just kind of go to a different time and get away from whatever is happening this year. And I'll take this on my walks with me. It's really great for street photography, but it's also good for any kind of photography you want to do. I went out with my friend Avnik just recently. She's a fabulous model, really cool person. And we took some shots of her with this camera, and I love the results, and we had a really great time. And I think it's because, A, she's a great person to work with, but when you're enjoying the camera you use, I think that does translate into the photos you make. Just the tone that you have in yourself will come through in your photography. So I did buy this used, which is also kind of rewarding to me. I like older digital cameras, A, because they're cheaper. When new cameras come out, the older cameras just kind of plummet in value. And that works out for me because, this is a 20 megapixel camera. Again, came out in 2016. It was discontinued, I think, in 2019. Modern cameras that come out, now we're like 40, 60, 100 megapixels. I don't care about that. That doesn't impress me. You can make outstanding photographs with a 6 megapixel camera. Doesn't matter, give me 16 and I'm totally happy. So it's more about the experience of using it and how I feel when I'm doing my photography. So the Olympus Pen F is one of my favorite things of 2020. See, I almost forgot what year it was. Okay, my second thing, shout out to my friend Ivan for recommending this. This is a photo book. I like buying, it's a book by Lars Thunbjörk, who is a Swedish photographer. He passed away in, I think, 2015. There's about 250 images in this book. I like buying photo books because it's different from looking at photography on a screen, like a backlit screen that can just kind of fry your eyes. I get kind of tired of it. looking at photography on Instagram or on my computer screen, the big screen, looking at it on a page that isn't backlit, and you can just kind of take the image for what it is without any other distractions around you. You can put the gadgets away and just kind of disappear into the photograph and really appreciate it. And this guy is an experience, Lars Thunbjörk. His images are like, it's a lot of everyday stuff, but there's always something fantastical about it. Just what he chooses to capture, there's just something interesting because it's a bit different, or it's objects that interact in kind of an interesting way, or maybe a few objects or people or places that seem like they don't really belong together. And he puts them together, or happens to capture them together in just a really wild, fantastical way. And it's kind of, it does have that sense of fantasy. And even though he's just capturing just scenes at an office, or people sitting around kind of doing their thing, or it's just something weird and bizarre. But there's enough here to really just kind of get lost in, and I've done a lot of that this year with this book, with this photographer. It's a retrospective book. I highly recommend it. If you just enjoy visuals, you're gonna love this book, I promise you. If you like color photography and stuff that's maybe a little bit weird, but you can't tell why, that's what I love. Okay, and my third favorite thing of 2020, this is the most significant to me, the most, I guess, sentimental, personal thing. Well, first off, my grandfather was a photographer. And I always knew this, but I didn't really know, I guess, deeply what he was into, what his mode of thinking was. And I hadn't had access to more of his artistic, really creative photography. I was stunned when I finally learned it. My dad gave me just these boxes and boxes and boxes of old Kodachrome slides, Kodachrome and Ektachrome. And I started holding them up to the light and, oh, that looks interesting. And I would scan it in just to kind of see it on my computer monitor. And I was blown away because a lot of what he did, it was very intentional. And it resembled the photographer I talked about in my last video, William Eggleston, and who was another Southern color photographer. Maybe he was influenced by him, I don't know, but very similar subject matter, very similar approach, just kind of everyday scenes that you would see out in the world and would be a snapshot in anybody else's hands. But in my grandfather's hands, Bill Brown, he managed to make something artistic out of it, where he would find interesting intersections of lines or interesting angles of somebody's face or silhouetting somebody. So you kind of add a sense of mystery. I really loved it. I got lost in this stuff. I might have never known about it had my dad not giving me these boxes. My grandfather and I, we never had that conversation about photography that I would have wanted to have with him. We talked about his cameras before, but not about photography. He passed away in 2012. And this allows me to kind of see his mind in a different way and appreciate him in a brand new way. And it's the best thing that's happened in 2020 in terms of me just having a nice personal experience. And it's also from another time. These images mostly, he has images dating back from like the 50s, but a lot of these are from the mid to late 70s and early 80s, where you had just really nice Kodachrome film. And I love it. So I hope my dad isn't watching this, because this is gonna kind of ruin the surprise, but I've been, instead of wanting to look at these on the screen, I wanna look at these in print, these images in print. So I scanned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of his slides. And I've assembled a handful of them that are really kind of cohesive. And I'm publishing a book of his photography. It's gonna be called Inherited Frames, and the copies have not come in yet. They should come in pretty soon. I'm in major suspense. A very limited run because it's expensive to do. I selected some really nice expensive paper. I have a PDF of it. If anybody wants a copy of it, you can email me, tourettespodcast@gmail.com. So I mean, this just is my best experience of the year, and it's taken most of the year to accomplish. And to close, I'll switch categories just slightly. I will say it was an honor of my life to get to MC the Tourette Association's annual gala this year. I flew to New York. That was the only traveling I've done this year. It was really weird to see LaGuardia Airport in New York City empty, just devoid of people. I might have seen like 10 other people around. But it was such a great experience getting to film that and be part of a program that included people like Billie Eilish and John Lithgow and David Begnaud, my favorite TV journalist, Tim Howard, Callista Flockhart. It was just really, really cool. and I thank the Tourette Association of America for asking me to be a part of it. They are the sponsor of Tourette's podcast, which is part of the Geeks Rising network. Geeks Rising made some donations to the Tourette Association for the gala, which I greatly appreciate. Love being a part of Geeks Rising because they mean it. You know, they're really great people and great friends. I think that's just about all I got. Thanks, everybody. I'm Ben, Tourette'sPodcast.com. You can follow me on Instagram, @Ben Brown Multimedia. Thanks.